Good day, digital nurses. I'm your digital nurse educator, Ben. Today, we'll have a discussion about nursing theories. In the natural sciences, the main focus or function of theory is to guide research. In the practice disciplines, the main function of theory and research is to provide new possibilities for understanding the discipline's focus, such as music, art, management, and nursing. Before we proceed with the discussion, let us have our objectives for today. At the end of the discussion, you will be able to differentiate the terms theory, concept, conceptual framework, paradigm, and meta-paradigm for nursing. We'll also identify the role of the nursing theory in nursing education, research, and clinical practice. And lastly, we're going to identify key nursing theorists and their contribution to nursing. To better understand the topic, let us define key terms. The first term is theory. Theory is defined as an supposition or a system of ideas intended to explain something, especially one based on general principles independent of the thing to be explained. Concepts, on the other hand, are often called the building blocks of the theories. Conceptual framework is a group of related ideas, statements, or concepts. Paradigm also is referred to as a pattern of shared understanding and assumptions about reality and the world. And lastly, meta-paradigm is a term that originates from the two Greek words meta, meaning with, and paradigm, meaning pattern. There are four concepts central to nursing, and these are: first is the individual. Individuals or clients are the recipients of nursing care, which includes individuals, families, groups, or communities. The next is the environment. It is the internal and external surroundings that affect the client. This includes people in the physical environment, such as families, friends, and significant others. The next is health. Health is the degree of wellness or well being that a client experiences. The last concept central to nursing is nursing itself. Nursing is the attributes, characteristics, and actions of the nurse providing care on behalf of or in conjunction with the client. In our next slide, we will discuss the role of nursing theory. The nursing theory guides knowledge development and directs education, research, and practice all throughout its influences to others. Because nursing theory was used primarily to establish the profession's place in the university, it is not surprising that nursing theory became more firmly established in the academia than in clinical practice. Although all nursing programs are organized around concepts, many nursing programs have abandoned theory-driven conceptual frameworks. Because of the breadth, grand theories only occasionally direct nursing science or research. Nursing research is more often informed by mid-level or middle-range theories that focus on the exploration of concepts such as pain, self-esteem, learning, and hardiness. In qualitative research, theory can be used to help select the phenomenon, frame the philosophical underpinnings of the study, and guide data analysis and interpretation. While the qualitative research, both nursing and social sciences, can also be grounded in theories from philosophy or the social sciences. While nursing theory has been employed in the clinical setting, its primary contribution has been the facilitation of reflecting, questioning, and thinking about what nurses do. So as nurses work increasingly in interprofessional team, we will need theories that are applicable not only to nurses, but to the other healthcare professionals with whom we work. With all of those things in mind, let us proceed with the different nursing theorists. Nursing theories varies in their level of abstraction, conceptualization of the client health and illness, environment and nursing, and the ability to describe, explain, or predict phenomena. Thus, we have identified 11 nursing theories that influence nursing in this discussion. First on our list is Florence Nightingale's environmental theory. She linked health with the five environmental factors such as pure or fresh air, pure water, efficient drainage, cleanliness, and light, especially direct sunlight. Deficiencies in these factors produce lack of health or illness. General concepts about ventilation, cleanliness, quiet, warmth, and diet remain integral parts of nursing and healthcare today. Peplau's interpersonal relations model. Hildegard Peplau, a psychiatric nurse, introduced her interpersonal concepts in 1952. Central to Peplau's theory is the existence of therapeutic relationship between the nurse and the client. The nurse-client relationship evolves in four phases. The first phase is the orientation. The client seeks help and the nurse assists the client to understand the problem and the extent of the need for help. The next is identification. The client assumes a posture of dependence, interdependence, and independence in relation to the nurse. The nurse focus is on ensuring the individual that the nurse understands the interpersonal meaning of the client's situation. This is then followed by exploitation. In here, the client derives full value from the nurse offers through the relationship. The client uses available services based on self-interest and needs. Power shifts from the nurse to the client. And lastly, resolution. In the final phase, old needs and goals are put aside and new ones adopted. Once older needs are resolved, newer and more mature ones emerge. The Plaus model continues to be used by clinicians when working with individuals who have psychological problems. Next in our list is Virginia Henderson. She describes nursing in relation to the client and the client's environment. Henderson conceptualizes the nurse's role as assisting sick or healthy individuals to gain independence in meeting 14 fundamental needs. And these are 1. Breathing normally, 2. Eating and drinking adequately, 3. Eliminating body waste, 4. Moving and maintaining a desirable position, 5. Sleeping and resting, 6. Selecting suitable clothes, 7. Maintaining body temperature within normal range by adjusting clothing and modifying the environment, 8. Keeping the body clean and well groomed to protect the integument, 9. Avoiding dangers in the environment and avoiding injuring others, 10. Communicating with others in expressing emotions, needs, fears, or opinions, 11. Worshipping according to one's faith, 12. Working in such a way that one feels a sense of accomplishment, 13. Playing or participating in various forms of recreation, and lastly, number 14, learning, discovering, or satisfying the curiosity that leads to the normal development and health and using available health facilities. In addition, Martha Rogers first presented the theory of unitary human being in 1970. Rogers visioned the person as an irreducible whole, the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. According to Rogers, unitary man is an irreducible four-dimensional energy field identified by pattern. Then, it manifests characteristics different from the sum of the parts. It also interacts continuously and creatively with the environment and behaves as a totality. And lastly, as a sentient being, it participates creatively in change. Nurses applying Rogers' theory in practice focus on the person's wholeness. They seek to promote symphonic interaction between the two energy fields, these are human and environment, and to strengthen the coherence and integrity of the person. They also coordinate the human field with the rhythmicities of the environmental field, and lastly, they direct and redirect patterns of interaction between the two energy fields to promote maximum health potential. Likewise, we can see here that Dorothea Orum's theory was then published in 1971. Self-care theory is based on the four concepts. The first is self-care. That refers to activities an individual performs independently throughout life to promote and maintain personal and well-being. The next concept is self-care agency. It is the individual's ability to perform self-care activities. Self-care agencies consist of two agents. A self-care agent, these are individuals who perform self-care independently, and a dependent care agent, these are person other than the individual who provides the care. While Self-care requisites, also called self-care needs, are measures or actions taken to provide self-care. And the following are three categories of self-care requisites. The first is universal requisites, which are common to all people. They include maintaining intake and elimination of air, water, and food, balancing rest, solitude, and social interaction, preventing hazards to life and well-being, and promoting normal human functioning. The next is the developmental requisites that result from maturation or are associated with conditions or events such as adjusting to a change in body image or to the loss of the spouse. And lastly, the health deviation requisites. This results from illness, injury, or disease or its treatment. They include actions such as seeking healthcare assistance, carrying out prescribed therapies, and learning to live with the effects of illness or treatment. And the fourth concept of Orem's theory is the therapeutic self-care demand. That refers to all self-care activities required to meet existing self-care requisites, or in other words, actions to maintain health and well-being. Furthermore, Orem's theories identify three types of nursing system, and these are as follows. First, the wholly compensatory systems that require for individuals who are unable to control and monitor their environment and process information. Second is the partly compensatory systems. These are designed for individuals who are unable to perform some but not all self-care activities. And lastly, the supportive educative developmental systems, which are designed for persons who need to learn to perform self-care measures and need assistance to do so. King's goal attainment theory shows the relationship of personal systems or the individual, interpersonal systems, and social systems such as the educational system, healthcare systems. King's theory offers insight into nurses' interaction with individuals and groups within the environment. Betty Newman, a community health nurse and a clinical psychologist, developed a model based on the individual's relationship to stress, reaction to it, and the continuum factors for all dynamic in nature. Nursing interventions focus on retaining or maintaining system stability. These interventions are carried out on three preventive levels: primary, secondary, and tertiary. Let us discuss each. The primary prevention focuses on protecting the normal line of defense and strengthening the flexible line of defense. The secondary prevention focuses on strengthening internal lines of resistance, reducing the reaction, and increasing resistance factors. And lastly, the tertiary prevention, which focuses on readaptation and stability and protects the reconstitution or return to wellness following treatment. Betty Newman's model of nursing is applicable to a variety of nursing practice settings involving individuals, families, groups, and communities. Sister Callista Roy's adaptation model defines adaptation as the process and outcome whereby the thinking and feeling person uses conscious awareness and choice to create human and environmental integration level is unique and constantly changing. The goal of Roy's model is to enhance life processes through adaptation in four adaptive modes. Individual respond to needs or stimuli in one of the four modes. The first mode is the physiological mode. This involves the body's basic physiological needs and ways of adapting with regards to fluids and electrolytes, activity and rest, circulation and oxygen, nutrition and elimination, protection, the senses, and neurologic and endocrine functions. Another mode is the self-concept mode that includes two components: the physical self, which involves the sensation and body image, and the personal self, which involves the self-ideal, self-consistency, and the moral ethical self. Then, the role functional mode is determined by the need for social integrity and refers to the performance of duties based on given positions within the society. And lastly, the interdependence mode that involves one's relations with significant others and support systems that provide help, affection, and attention. Another notable nurse is Madeline Leininger, a nurse anthropologist that put her views on transcultural nursing in print in the 1970s. She also established the Journal of Transcultural Nursing in 1986. Then in 1991, she published her book culture, care, diversity, and universality, a theory of nursing. She emphasized that human caring, although a universal phenomenon, varies among cultures in its expressions, processes, and patterns. It is largely culturally derived. Leininger produced the Sunrise Model to predict her theory of cultural care, diversity, and universality. In order for nurses to assist people of diverse cultures, Leininger presents three intervention modes. The first is culture care preservation and maintenance, culture care accommodation, negotiation, or both, and culture care reconstructing and repatterning. Next is Jean Watson. She believes the practice of caring is central to nursing. It is the unifying focus for practice. Nursing interventions related to human care, originally referred to as curative factors, have now been translated into 10 clinical caritas processes, and these are as follows. One is to embrace altruistic values and practice loving kindness with self and others. Two, instill faith and hope and honors others. Number three is be sensitive to self and others by nurturing individual beliefs and practices. Four, develop helping trusting human caring relationships. Five, promote and accept positive and negative feelings as you authentically listen to another's story. Six, use creative scientific problem solving methods for caring decision making. Seven, share teaching and learning that addresses the individual needs and comprehension styles. 8 is create a healing environment for the physical and spiritual self which respects human dignity. 9 is assist with basic physical, emotional, spiritual human needs. And 10, open to mystery and allow miracles to enter. Parr's human becoming theory proposes three assumptions about human becoming. According to Parsi, human becoming is freely choosing personal meaning in situations in the intersubjective process of relating value priorities. Human becoming is co-creating rhythmic patterns or relating in mutual processes with the universe. Human becoming also is co-transcending multidimensionally with the emerging possibilities. These three assumptions focus on meaning, rhythmicity, and co-transcendence. So, meaning arises from a person's interrelationship with the world and refers to happenings to which a person attaches varying degrees of significance. Rhythmicity, on the other hand, is the movement toward greater diversity, and also co-transcendence is the process of reaching out beyond the self. Parsi's model of human becoming emphasizes how individuals choose and bear responsibility for patterns of personal health. So in summary, we can see that in the late 20th century, much of the theoretical work in nursing focused on articulating relationships between the four major concepts such as the person, environment, health, and nursing. Because these four concepts can be superimposed on almost any work in nursing, they are sometimes collectively referred to as the meta paradigm for nursing. And we can infer that nursing theories vary considerably in their level of abstraction, conceptualization of the client, health, illness, environment, and nursing, and of course, the ability to describe, explain, and predict phenomena. So some theories are broad in scope, others are limited. So this ends our discussion. Again, this is your digital nurse educator, Ben. Thank you and see you on our next discussion. You can visit my website www.digitalnursingacademy.com for more discussion about nursing.